So what happens in a repository? Like, what is the structure of the repository? Why is it important? Like, what is why can't I save this in something like a Google Drive, right? Doesn't that question pop in? Like, if this is something that we are doing, why not save it in Google Drive? I mean, maybe Google Drive does the same thing, or I could basically create multiple copies and I can go about it, correct? But here's where GitHub is absolutely interesting. What GitHub gives is the ability for a person to basically download the codes, right? They can download it using the git clone command or with the GitHub desktop if they want, or they can just directly download it into a zip file. So I can just show you what that means. I just download it into a zip. I open this, and you can just see the entire codes available for me, right? I mean, I can share these codes wherever I want. But let's say that's one of the good things. You can add a file. So I'll show you how to do that. But the good thing about Git is this: issues. Whenever I actually add something, right? Or somebody is able to see this house price prediction. So for example, this guy says there's an issue with README and he hasn't provided any description, right? I can basically go and ask him like something like, "Hi Dinesh," right? So this guy's name is Dinesh. "Hi Dinesh," right? "Could you specify more on this?" Right? And I can comment. So when I comment this, now Dinesh can actually come back and say, "Hey, I expect you to write so and so." And it could be anyone. It could be Vipin, it could be Swarna, it could be Rishabh. You guys can come in and say, "Stress, I didn't understand this part of your code. Why don't you change this part?" Or you can find out an issue. Maybe the code did not run, right? So for example, one of the other person says renaming of a module. She said that in the model, sklearn.cross validation import to interest plate should be this thing as a module name is changed, right? If we don't do that, it will go through an error, right? Sony Chandni. She says that, and she's right, because the time when I did this, it was on cross validation, and I can say like something like, "Sure, we'll update the code," right? And close the issue, right? "Thanks for contributing," something like this, right? And when I comment this, Sony can look at it and she can respond, and I can basically update the code and close the issue. And when I close the issue, like close this for now, I also get the ability to reopen the issue. When I close the issue, that means that Chani cannot comment back. When I reopen the issue, Chani can actually say that, "Hey, change this, or change something else." So GitHub gives me that flexibility to do things. Then you have something called as pull request. Let's say that sometimes, what happens is people try to take your codes as a base, and more often than not, they will try to copy everything. Yes, kind of, exactly. And you can basically share it. You can basically point out to the errors or to the issues, or you can even add to their development, and that is what I'm going to show. So what happened is that the point where I was doing this house price prediction, it was pretty simple, right? It's a pretty basic stuff. Um, Normal linear regression and a gradient boosting regressor. That's it. But there was this guy who came in with a library called Teapot, which does an AutoML, and he says that I'm going to use your code, right? I'm going to use whatever you've written, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add few things of my own, right? So, for example, he created a branch. He pulled it and he created a branch. No, it does, and we'll talk about that. It does, right? So when I say merge pull request, that means I can merge it back to my master, right? I can merge it back, take his codes and say this is the code that I'm going to write. Or else I can just see what all things he has done it. So for example, changes to be committed. right? So what all changes did he commit? Okay, so he added all these lines. Can you see that? So he added a .py file called test new models. He added another .py called teapot results, and he also added the house sales teapot.py file. So what he essentially did was he took out our codes and he's going to refer to our codes, but after referring to our codes, he's going to write his own codes as well. So in this point, I know that this guy, I don't know his name, is actually going to use my codes, right? And he's actually going to add few things of his own, and he's going to come back and basically give us some sort of credits in that. Or basically, I would be able to know because when I go to his repository here, right, branch is 2 commits ahead, which means that they've added 2 more commits than me. 1 commit behind Shreyas 3108 master, which is basically the base file that they're trying to say. They're saying that this is the base file and this is what I've written, right? And they say that, oh, I added so and so things. And now he has an accuracy better than mine, right? And I can basically go and review his codes. I can basically go and comment. I can basically go and get a pull request, and I can tell him, okay, these are the issues. These are the things that I want you to do, and I can go about it, right? One of the new things that GitHub has introduced is the workflow automation, which means that your codes can go into production. You can basically deploy your codes directly from GitHub. This is something that happens in enterprise level and not something that you should be worried about right now because different companies have different, Git providers in one way. So GitHub is just a version control management tool, and you have tools such as GitHub and Bitbucket. So there are multiple tools which does that. And the good thing about all these things is I basically get to select what I should do. If I were to create it as a private repository which cannot be shared with anyone, then I need to pay some money for that, which is something that at this point we don't need to do, right?